Good morning, fellas. How's it going? Today is Saturday, March 7th, 2026. Hope everybody's doing well on this Saturday morning. Let me go ahead and share the stream with a few people, and we'll get started. Let me just send the link out as I like to do. I like to notify my friends that, hey, if you want to hang out with me for a chill vibe, I'm the guy. In high school, my nickname was Chill Vibe Guy. So let me go ahead and I'm going to send this stream out. Matthew, your mic volume is always low. I always have my volume up for the stream. Not complaining. Maybe just resolve it. So let me look at this. I think probably what I'd like to do is just get a new microphone, but there's actually nothing wrong with this microphone. Let me look at this. So we have sound input, device properties. All right. And then I think I normally pump this up to like 70. For some reason, the number 72 comes to mind. LSR 47 said hi. It's somebody joining us in the mobile stream, in the mobile stream. I don't know what I'm trying to say. All right. So I've pumped the volume up. Let me know if that helps anymore, Matthew, if that helps at all. Yeah, let me go ahead and send the stream out. We're going to, like I said, we're going to try Streamlabs. I'm in Streamlabs. It's pumped up pretty much all the way. Okay. So let me go ahead. Okay, we're going to start with, okay, we've got this. All right, I'm going to send it to my friend Stefan. I'm going to send it actually to Stefan and Henry, and of course I'm going to send it to Henna. We're going to see if we can get multiple Finnish people in the chat room at the same time. Now, I don't know if you're going to have some type of matter colliding, kind of like, time travel movies when a person meets his self in the past, and if they touch, then there's some type of atomic explosion or something. Maybe that'll happen if we can get multiple Finnish people in the chat room. Don't know. Remains to be seen. Let me see who else I'm going to send it to on WhatsApp. I'm going to send it to my friend Nick, and I'll send it to somebody else in case you're bored. I'm going to send it to this person because it's 8:17 a.m. where I'm at, so it's basically, when I stream at 4 p.m., a lot of my friends are either in Finland or in India. So at 4 p.m., like, they're not around. They're probably asleep, especially in India. They're asleep. But now that it's 8 a.m. my time, more people are awake. So I'm going to spread the love and the joy that is this mobile stream. We are changing cast at the moment. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's right. Henna responded. So apparently her young boy, which I think you guys learned last night at the same time as I did, or maybe it was a private conversation, I don't remember, but her young boy broke his leg. So they are at the hospital getting a new cast on that. All right, let me send this out to a couple of other people. I'm going to send it to my buddy Nick. I'm going to send it to Robbie. I'm going to send it to David and Justin. I'm going to send it to Johnny Gators. I'm going to send it to the random taxi driver that I met in Senegal. I'm going to send it to Lisa. All right. I'm going to send it to my sister who's not speaking to me. I miss you. And then I'm just going to do an exclamation point. Anybody else? Let me see. No, not her, not him, not my mom. I was talking a little bit last night about live streams with my mom, and she's like, oh, is that kind of like she just is like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just boomer. Like she's putting the YouTube stream context into her understanding as a boomer, and it was just it's difficult. I'm gonna send it to my brother-in-law with the message that says hi. I'm gonna send it to this random person. I'm gonna send it to this guy I used to work with named Paul. I'm gonna send it to Chokiat. I'm gonna send it directly to Justin. I'm going to send it to my step-cousin as well. I'm trying to get as many people in here as I can. And okay, that's going to do it. And then, of course, the last stop when we're handing out invites, the last stop is Instagram. So give me a second. I'm just trying to see if we have anybody else. Okay, perfect. All right, so on Instagram, we will send the link to, let's see, not my daughter. I'm going to send, no, not her, not her, not her, not, these are like my sister. Okay, I'm going to send it to this ex-girlfriend, the ex-girlfriend Liz, the woman that I moved to Miami for. I'm going to send it to my kind of ex-girlfriend Ava. We never really officially were boyfriend and girlfriend, but we were like hooking up for like 3 months. And like we were kind of hooking up exclusively. At least I thought we were. But okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. This was literally in 2007. Water under the bridge. Okay, I'm going to send it to this random person as well in case you're bored. All right. And then who else am I going to send it to? Oh, I got to send it to Razman, the Singleton man, of course. And I have to send it to Francesca Estevez, our guiding light, our North Star. I like to think that she is already in here listening. I'm going to send it to the random taxi driver that I met in Zambia. And I'm going to send it to Lisa again. And I think that covers, okay. Si estás aburrida. All right. And I think that's probably it. I already sent it to Henna. And just kind of, you know what? I think I'm going to stop there is what I'm going to do. I think we have covered our bases. I think also we might need a little, not happy music, but maybe music that's not so dark. I mean, we want dark music, but maybe that's a little too dark. This is more or less the same thing. Dark Gothic ambience. Okay, I like the organ. Okay, do what I do. Techno rave or maybe not. I mean, I guess we could, like, if that's the vibe we want to go, like dark. Well, it was dark monkey music was the one that I would put on the stream. And it actually is a good vibe. It is a good vibe. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. I mean, this is very, I'm 28 and going to drink some coffee and program. Like, that's what this is. But hey, we'll stick with it. We'll go. I'll channel my inner 28-year-old because believe it or not, and I know some of you are going to have a hard time believing this, but believe it or not, I was a 28-year-old once. Now, I mean, it was a million years ago, but I literally was 28 years old at one point in my life. Who would have thunk it, right? Who would have thunk it? It's bizarre. All right, let me see. Okay. What are we going to work on? So we're not going to work on the video game. I think we're not going to work directly in the video game because of the streaming and the buffering and all of that. So I think we're going to work on map stuff because I like maps and maps are cool. And I think, I mean, like one of the things that like gets me excited in the morning is maps. No, but I think one of the things that actually does kind of like, I'm like legitimately, that's actually not too much of an exaggeration. Like I really love maps. So I think kind of just working, like we had the whole terminal thing we talked about, like where you have we even started to kind of implement it, but I have to rethink that because there's some architectural considerations. Now, I'm not a web developer, so it didn't even pop into my mind until last night when we were on the stream, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, that's a good point. So I think instead what we're going to do is we're going to work on the process of the maps. And what I mean by the process, I'll talk about in a second. So let me go ahead and kind of just load up the repo. So once again, this website that you're looking at, this is composed of 3 different repos, essentially. What's Matthew saying? Going to do some casual admin work while you stream. Okay, what's casual admin work? But I'm not sure what the casual admin work is. But you do you, bro. You do you. All right. Oh my gosh. It's like something really doesn't want me to work on the maps. I have asked. Okay. Okay. Let's back up. So once again, let me get Google Draw. I think that's what we were using, and I kind of like Google Draw. Google Draw. Tidy up some files, finances, update my website. Monkey music will keep me going. All right, cool. Well, I'm just happy that we get to do it together. Oh wait, that didn't. That's not exactly what I meant, but you know what I meant. All right, let me see. Let me see what this site is. Oh, this is a game. Actually, I have another idea. I'll be right back. I'll be right back, boys. Promise. I'll promise. I'll be right back. So what I'm wondering is there any way where I can kind of project my iPad onto what you guys see? Now, I've done this before by using a website, right? Where I just like there's like a Sketchpad website, right? And you can share the link. And so I would just send myself the link on my iPad, and so that kind of works, but online whiteboard. Matthew says, how are you going to implement the map in game now? Via the game in terminal separate or the mini map? Okay. All right. So this is where being able to draw would really help. Let me figure that out. And I'll talk about my plan. So let's see if we can do this. So if I do skip the tutorial, let me see. Wait. Okay. Let me load it up on here. I'm having like a big sense of deja vu for whatever reason, but let me do this. Online board. Just like my stream. Online board, right, boys? Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, let's see. Okay, compare. No, I don't want to compare with other products. I just want to start. Okay, create a new whiteboard. Okay, skip the tutorial. Okay. All right, so far so good. How do I share? Export board, no. So here I have this share button, but I don't have the share button. Oh, my stars and garters. What is going on? Like, I don't have a share button here. Like, there's no, I don't know how to, okay, I'm working on it. Just give me a minute. Share board, new board, export board. All right. We got to figure this out, boys. But the thing is about Saturdays, about a weekend stream, is we have all day long. I mean, there's stuff I want to do, but I think I'll do some of it today, but it's mostly weekend stuff that I want to do. So if we don't get to it today, that's fine, right? Like if I don't get to my weekend chores today, then I'm not going to stress on it. I am stressing a little bit about how to share. Okay, all right. I'm gonna try another plan. Let me do this. And over here, I'm going to share this. Okay, all right. So then I come over here. Skip the tutorial. Okay, give me a second. I think I figured this out. Okay, perfect. So I am actually able to draw on my I'm writing on my iPad. Okay, perfect. even though it's interesting because it's not interesting, it's just a factoid. I use, like, for my professional job, I use Mac. Um, when I'm casual programming, I generally use Mac. My iPad, I love my iPad. Um, so I'm surrounded by Apple products, except their phone. Like, I cannot stand the iPhone, so I have an Android. Anyway, best part about doing all my stuff during the week, my weekend is 100% free relax time. Yeah, you got that too. All right, again, I'm not going to pay 110% attention to you guys. This is very chill. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so how are you going to implement the map in the game via the in-game terminal? So, okay, I'm not sure what you mean by via the in-game terminal. I mean, I know what you're talking about when you reference the in-game terminal, but I'm not sure how that would work in terms of the maps. So it would be cool if, like, so I have. This is like a new toy. Can I make this? Let me see. I want to make it smaller. You don't hear that too often, do you? All right, I guess I'll just have to work with what I got. It would be cool if, like, so you would have map data would be on a server, right? This would be probably like Yonora or whatever. Oh God, this is gonna. Okay, I'm trying to stay focused, but I want to see. I have another idea, but let me see really quick. I want to stay focused. Let's see, connected services. Okay, so there's this app that I use that's called Notability. I just want to see if there's any way I can share that. Notability. Share our live whiteboard, maybe? Live whiteboard? Online? Let's see. Yeah, no. All right, we're just going to have to go back to this plan. We're just going to have to go back to this plan. That's fine. We'll make do. I'm not going to have all the bells and whistles that I'm used to or that I want, but we'll make do. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's a good idea for an app. It could be. Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to get distracted until I figure this out. Sharing iPad screen on Windows. Let's see. Can I mirror an iPad to a Windows PC? Let's see. Okay, there's videos how to show your iPad screen on your computer tutorial. Okay, let's turn the music down and see how we can go about this.
Computer. Let's get started with it. If you are new to the Fox Tech channel, ensure you are subscribed to it and you're not gonna miss anything important. So it kind of depends on which type of computer you have. If you have a Mac computer like
it's easy.
Apple, in that case, it's gonna be a little simpler.
It's gonna be a lot simpler.
Which is like the devices just tap on computer. You will need to download an app which will basically do the same thing. Like it will behave like a receiver for AirPlay, which is this thing right here. And you can literally, for example, on your Windows, look up the AirPlay screen mirroring receiver. You can just type that into the search.
AirPlay screen mirroring receiver. Let's see if we can. Airplane screen mirroring receiver. Okay. All right. So let's see what we got here. We got this. Okay. Let me see. Air Server. Air Server is the most advanced screen mirroring software receiver for Mac, PC, X, blah, blah, blah. Air Server Universal Mirroring. With the help of a PC or any other supported hardware, Air Server can transform a simple big. Okay. I just tell me what to click. Just tell me what to click. Just tell me what to download. Just tell me what to download. Where'd my mouse go? Oh, boys. Oh, boys. Let me see something. I think my mouse is out of battery. I was just thinking about last night how I haven't charged it in forever. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have an idea. Okay, because this cheap ass keyboard that Not Sure had me buy, apparently it has no Wi-Fi option. No, I love this. I love this. Okay, give me a second. Wireless mouse. It is a wireless mouse, but it's not a wireless keyboard apparently. I thought it was a wireless keyboard, but I've never been able to get it to work. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so we got that done. Okay, support software. Air server for Windows 10. Okay. Try or buy, download, install. All right, I'm not spending money to do this. We're just going to do it. We're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. I really want the bells and whistles, but whatever. I want to stay focused. I want to try and stay focused today for you guys. Let's get the monkey music back, and then let me find my screen. Okay. Reconnect. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what I was getting at was like if we had the map data on some, this could be like the website, yonora.world. It would be really cool if when I or whoever pushes changes to the web server, then, or to GitHub actually, it'll get published to the website, which that step already kind of happens. And then that would get reflected in the game, and we'll just call it St. Aveline. That would get reflected in the game automatically, right? So, well, how often is the map going to be changing? Not that often, which makes you think, okay, well then we could just, like, is that necessary? That's a lot of fluff. And it's true. I'm thinking out loud. Like, I don't have a definitive plan. I'm pausing a lot and saying things the way I'm saying them because I'm kind of like thinking about this as I'm talking. And so, like, one of the things I was thinking, or that I'm thinking of right now, is like you could have landmarks or, I don't know, treasure. Now, this doesn't make a lot of sense in a single player game, I suppose. I mean, I guess it could and it couldn't. But what I'm thinking is, like, let's say we add new landmarks to the game. Or, like, you know, the map is pretty solid, and so you want to add hidden treasure or something. I'm making things up, but I'm trying to determine whether or not it actually makes sense to have the map data in the game be dynamically driven. And or does it also, or would it suffice to just have a static map, just have static map data, which is how it works most of the time, unless you're playing some like MMORPG. And I think a static data set is fine. It's just Matthew's question just got me thinking, like, okay, you know, like I had considered all this other stuff, but I guess I hadn't really thought too much about whether I want the in-game maps to be updated dynamically like that. And the short answer is yes, I do want that. But the longer answer is yes, I do want that. But do I just want it because it would be fun to implement, or do I want it because it would actually add to the game experience? And like, you know, yesterday when we were talking about the what were we working on? We were talking, not the map, we were talking on the terminal, and how I mentioned how that I understood that the terminal was completely a feature that didn't add a lot to the game experience, but it was just something I wanted to implement because it was fun. Matthew says lore. Yes, like I love lore. I love creating lore. And I mean, that's what this entire website here is about the lore of this game. I love lore. And like I mean, in my mind, let's say like in 2 years that like finally I'm happy with St. Aveline. I'm not going to say that it's done, because I feel like how often are these projects like how many software projects have you ever finished, right? Have you ever written or published a game or a program? I'm just going to say program. Like, have you ever published a program where you were like, nope, I have nothing left to do to it. It is exactly 100% done. Everything that I implemented, everything that I envisioned this thing doing, it does. Like, that doesn't happen. But let's just say that, like, in a year or two that I get to a point where St. Aveline is kind of published and, like, okay, well, now I want to move to a different project, but, like, in my mind, I'm like, it would take place in this world. So, like, my thought on this is that not that I'm going to create a new world for every game that I write. I mean, I hope to write multiple games. I mean, at the rate we're going, and as old as I am, we'll see. But I hope to be able to create multiple games, and I'm not going to create but I would create multiple games, and they would take place within the confines of this world. So I love lore. I love lore. There is no such thing as done. That is very true. That is very true. Let me, all right, I was going to give some attention here, but okay, I don't need to give any attention there. Is there anything that will tell me how charged my mouse is? This is a Logi. And again, I'm not going to feel too much pressure to be completely on this stream. I'm just going to relax and, like, don't be surprised if I walk away for 15 minutes. And then, I don't know. I just felt like streaming. Okay. There's a Logitech app. I'm guessing it's Logitech. I've never heard of Logi. Okay, close. Okay. All right, it's going to tell me charging. Can you tell me how charged I am? Charging. Flow point scroll settings. No, it will not tell me how charged I am. That's fine. I don't need to know. I don't need to know those things. It's fine. Okay. All right. So, what's this? What is that? What was that? It was Visual Studio Code. Alrighty, let me go back here. All right, let me pin this so we don't forget about it. Okay. So let's kind of start over. How do I do this? Let me just nuke all of this. Oh, I hear the beginnings of breakfast being cooked downstairs, and I am looking forward to some breakfast. Okay. All right. So, as I was saying, this website, this Yonora, let's here, and then we can come over here, and then we'll do this. Okay. So, this website on the left-hand side, it's 3 repos. It's the Yonora Wiki. There's the Yonora Maps. And then there is the Yonora website. And the website kind of brings together the other two. Oh my God, I can't freaking spell or even write correctly. Website. So this is more or less a combination of these two, right? They go into there. So I think what we're gonna, my goal here is to have it so what I'm already doing with the wiki is, like, if I update the wiki page, it gets put, and I've shown this, that it gets pushed automatically to the website. Everything gets updated. Everybody's happy. My goal is to do the same with the maps. I want to have the same kind of workflow with the maps, but let's see let's see what kind of changes are you going to be making to the maps? Like, are you going to be making geographical changes? I guess you could, right? Geographical changes, which means like terrain editing. I guess you could also make biome changes, which is like, you know, is it a desert? Is it a plains, like a PLAIN, or swamp, etc. So that's another one. What else would we? Well, I guess we could just actually just look it up. Let's see. Alrighty. So we go over into tools here. So we have the biome data. So this actually brings a lot of. So I think one of the things here is that this Asgard tool, the Asgard's fantasy map generator, you can kind of think about this as like a light, LITE version of map generation or world of map building. And so this has a lot of high-level features where if you go into QGIS, which is what we are ultimately going to be using, QGIS does the same things. It's just QGIS is I think that the barrier to entry is much more complicated with QGIS as opposed to Asgard's fantasy map generator, right? Because you can literally just click on the thing and then drag and then it's very easy. It's also very easy to like paint your map, right? To like paint the nations and stuff like that. So it's a very good introduction. This does have limitations. Like, for example, if you look, every border is like this weird shape. It's like a weird shape. There's no straight borders, no straight lines. So there's like that limitation. I mean, you can only do so much. You can only do so much editing and so much rendering of the data. But you can do things like you can define the height. Well, I don't want to do that. You can define you can define your mountains and your valleys. You can define what parts are desert, which parts are swamp, and other things. You can draw rivers as well. Obviously, you can draw lakes too. So there is a lot you can do in this. But I think what I want to do is transition away from it more or less. So. What is the workflow like? What I don't even know, man. And like the thing here that I'm struggling with is I feel like I might be creating a workflow for a set of work I only have to do once, right? So it's kind of like if you are you're creating like a system for, like, let's say you're a painter. And you just want to paint a painting. So you're going to create a system to like have your paints refilled, to automatically have canvases come to you when you use a canvas, and to like, you know, that kind of, you're setting up this process so that you can keep painting, but you're only going to paint one painting. So do you really need to spend the time with the process? That's kind of what I'm struggling with. Like, do I need to? I don't know. There's lots of things I don't need. I am going to go downstairs in a second. Let me see. I'm just waiting for the sign that my breakfast is complete. So, it's a good question. I mean, of course it's a good question because I asked it. Well, I think one thing that will be included in the map. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I think one thing that will be included in this map section as well is that it will contain data. So it'll contain like population data is a very easy one to understand. Population data is one. But population data you could do per state, per country, per nation. We'll call it per nation. That sounds like a illness, like a per nation. So anyway, so you could do this on a per nation basis, a per city, etc. So population data is one. what else would be other? Oh, well, let's actually look at the types of data that you can export. Then that should give us an idea. No. Wait. Did I export some already? No, I did not. Okay. Will Tyler. Will, how's it going, Will? Kirby42, good to see you guys again. Kirby, it's good to see you. It is always good to see Kirby. Kirby, how you been? I missed you, man. I was thinking about you. I was talking to you. I was talking to my buddy the other night, and I was like, I really miss Kirby. And my buddy was like, what do you miss most about Kirby? And I was like, I like his smell. Okay, so we would have population data. No, wait. I want to export. Okay, here we go. So I can export the cells, which are basically just the things that comprise the map. The routes, the routes, so basically roads, but it's not just roads. So like if I render, I can render. It's like I've done a lot of. I was going crazy with routes because again, I love maps. So if I want to render the routes, where the hell is it? Texture cells, wind. Religion, routes, here it is. Routes. So you can see that, like, I thought I cleaned most of this up. Didn't I? Wait a minute. Let's just do get stash push. Get pull rebase. Already up to date, but yet this is like okay, so the question becomes, where the fuck did I okay, well, you know what, I might not be loading the correct one. So this is one of the problems. I'm not loading the right one. One of the challenges I have found with this Asgard's Fantasy map creator is that it is it's a web application. That's not the main issue I have with it, but it's not like it's an Electron application. So it functions as though you're editing everything on a website, and you're thinking like, okay, well, what's the big deal with that? Well, the big deal with that is that you can't just like saving. It's more of a download. So if you want to save something locally, it's more of a download operation. So basically, the application doesn't have access to the local drive the way that an actual desktop application would, and with that comes limitations. Vibe coded a Jenkins pipeline this morning. Nobody's impressed. Like when you talk about like vibe coding something, like, yeah, man, I vibe coded it this morning. That's about as impressive as bragging about banging a hooker. That's what it is. Like, oh yeah, man, I banged this hooker. You should have seen it. Whoa, hey, you did. Wow, like, we scrapped Jenkins for Team City at work. It was so much quicker. I've been curious. Like at work, we use Jenkins, and we've been talking about Team City, or not Team City. There's another one. Team City came. I feel like anyway. Let me see. If I want to load the map, okay. I think I'm loading the wrong one. So I'm going to go to Yonora's Maps, Ascar, and then is this the one I want? Okay, this is the one I want. Woo! Almost had a heart attack there. So you can see the route data. We can export the route data. We can export the rivers. We can export markers and zones. I'm not sure what the markers are. Just kind of just little landmarks you can put out. Landmarks, markers kind of thing. And then the zones, I'm not even sure what the zones are exactly. Zones. Interesting. Let's see. All right. I'm going to go downstairs. I have to pee. I'm going to go do a couple of things. Again, this is a Saturday. This is a Saturday stream, so it's going to be very relaxed. Very like I might only be paying half attention to you guys. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm not going to be gone too long. I love you guys. Okay. All right, let me. Where were we? All right, we're here. I got some breakfast. I'm going to eat in your ear, and we'll talk about life and love, what that means. Mm-hmm. Gotta have breakfast, boys. It's the most important meal of the day. All right. Matthew, I met so many cool people last night. Talked to a Russian woman. Turns out she works in the same building, and we both went to the Christmas party in December. Okay, don't fall in love. Don't fall in love. Just calm down. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. It's all right. Don't go offering your Steam. Oh, maybe, I guess given the context of how you guys met, then sure. Okay, then you can go ahead and offer your Steam ID to that person. But just pump the brakes. Take it easy. I'm basically trying to build my own replacement for the Navionics app because it sucks to use when you're out of the cell network. So you're trying to vibe code some app to replace some other app. Not going to happen. She's a 3D artist. Oh, okay. That's so good. So, what my wife does is she makes this omelet. Inside the omelet, she puts green onion and onion. And then this vegan cheese, because my tummy doesn't do too well with the real stuff. It handles the real stuff okay, but I prefer the vegan. The vegan cheese is easier on my tummy. Else my tummy gets a boo-boo, and I don't feel good. And then I get cranky. And I'm a cranky little boy who can't sleep. And so, puts the cheese in it with some bacon, and then just puts that on top of a bed of rice, and then I drown it in yum-yum sauce. Ah, breakfast of champion, boys. Breakfast of champions. So let's just start with QGIS. I want to go through the process that I originally went through to get So I had data in QGIS, which I showed you. And this is the best feature of Asgar's fantasy map. This feature, I just clicked the button on. But QGIS can do this as well. So it arguably can do it better, but it's more complicated. So I love this view. I just love being able to just put the map that I've drawn onto a globe and just witness the globe just circle. Sorry, I'm having somewhat of a, I don't want to say deep, but I'm having somewhat of a conversation over here that requires a little bit of concentration. So I'm trying to like eat my breakfast and share my life with you guys while also giving this person some attention. My last espresso of the day. Will says, later, Addy, heading outside to do outside stuff. That's gay. All right, gay boy. Go outside and do your gay stuff. Only gay people go outside to do gay outside stuff. What I wanted to do, one of the things I think a good place for us to start is simply to just document the process that I had gone through. So I'd been so it is documented in a way on through some YouTube videos, but oh my God, that's disgusting, Addie, Jesus Christ, you're gross. Woo. So this will take me to a wiki page. And then this wiki page will take me to some YouTube videos. At least I thought it would. Where do those YouTube videos go? My bad. Okay, no, that's my good boy browser. Let me see. Berg data processing, topological editing. See, I mean, QGIS will do everything. It's actually pretty crazy. Okay, actually, I think, okay, this is it. These are the videos I was talking about. Okay. So, and a lot of this information in here is still applicable, even though these videos are 6 years old. So we have this, which is kind of our source of truth. Well, what we're going to do is it's already saved, so we can go up and we can export. We just want to export the cell data. Okay. Where's my drives? Where are my drives? Breakfast. I might have to run downstairs really quick again. Again, distracted. It's okay. It's a Saturday stream. So what you can do now. Let me see something. Let me open up the other project.
More important to us as a society than who gets to come here and call our country home. Who gets the privilege of becoming a citizen of the United States of America.
Maps, QGIS. Okay.
When we talk about that in the abstract, it's
Unavailable layers, which is pretty much everything. Okay, no, not everything. That's good. Keep unavailable layers, remove unavailable layers. So these, but see the Earth one, that's the one that's confusing me. Wait a minute. I thought I had imported the Earth data. I might just have to go to another computer and look at this, but let me see. Our maps. I didn't? Oi. All right. Yeah, this is on me. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no. It's right here. It's right here. Okay. So what we can do. All right. So let me explain what I'm trying to do. So QGIS is kind of like it's a map making program essentially. And what I'm trying to do, what I have done is I have had Asgar's map generator tool export the map data to some standard GeoJSON format. It's basically just a huge JSON file that describes all of the cells, and the cells are nothing. Each cell is just it's just comprised of vectors, which is just lines, right? So it's just nothing but a bunch of like XY coordinates. But from thousands and thousands of those, you can draw a map. Now, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that GeoJSON file imported into QGIS. I had already done that, and I kind of started a project where I had imported all the data and all that. It was all there. So what I'm going to do, but QGIS, you can have layers. So let me see if I can get this working, and then it'll make sense once I do this. So let's see. So nothing is working right now. This, I think, is, if I go to information, yeah, QGIS. Oh, can I change this? I thought I could change it. No. Pretty much every layer is broken. So this is working on a different laptop. It's just not working on this on this computer. The thing that bugs me is, why isn't this repair source data? Okay, so I think we can do that. If I come over here, easy. Here we go. Earth TIFF. Okay. Will that work? Perfect. Okay, excellent. Okay, this is even, I saw it start to draw something, so this is even better. Okay, so what you're seeing on top of Earth is, okay, so what I've done is I've overlain the map of our imaginary world, of our fantasy world, or whatever you want to call it. This is a fantasy world where all the dragons go to live happily ever after. I have put that on top of Earth, so you can kind of get an idea or a sense of scale and like how big these continents are, and also roughly like where on the globe they would lie. Now, one of the things, and why not? I'll talk about lore. I'm going to talk about lore. So I've built a fair amount. I mean, I've built a fair amount of lore in this world already. So if you go back to the website, you'll see that this is like the concentrated part of the world. And so as the lore goes, right? Basically, you can see that there's a lot of, okay, so the known world is centered in the middle of this world, of this map. And you can see that it's roughly like the known world, God, I'm stuttering. The known world spans basically from parts of Western South America to Eastern Africa, right? Roughly. And then north to south, it's about really from the north of Africa to the south of South America. Okay. And the reason I say known world is that the people in the in-game world, they are aware, like their technology is like in like 1980s, like mid to late 1980s with, you know, certain caveats and exceptions, right? So now because of geological events, they don't have air travel, and sea travel is actually very, very difficult. which it always has been historically in this world. Again, I've thought about this lore quite a bit, and I'm sure I'm boring you, but I don't care, right? You're on my stream, so prepare to be bored, not boarded, bored. So the people, basically what it is they're smart enough to know that there is a lot more to the planet. But the people in the game, they know that like they don't know what the entire world exists of, right? And then then actually like literally in the lore, I do talk about that in parts in case you're curious. But who would be curious? Just me. So anyway, so they are aware that like, well, hey, we don't know what's on the other side of the planet. There might be, and there's like legends, and then there was a guy who like claimed to have made it to the other side and back, and blah 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 blah. But so anyway, so that's why this map here on the website shows just this portion of the world. Yet on here, I'm showing these other two large continents, and that is because the planet is basically segmented, and the people don't really have any kind of like, they don't know if the other people exist. Like they don't even know if there's land. That's kind of the thought there. Okay, let me spend some more attention to this. Okay, so we have the known world. We've been able to import that in, and this is like one of the things that like I have struggled with. And again, this is all lore shit, so I know most of you don't care. Probably none of you care. But one of the things that like I have kind of gone back and forth with in terms of like is how do I present the lore, or I'm sorry, how do I present these continents that you can kind of look at it as like we're kind of like the consumer of the story. And so as consumers of the story, we know about the entire world. But how do you present the entire world to the consumers of the story when this website, for example, is supposed to be from an in-game perspective, from the perspective of somebody in the world, somebody living in the known world. So how do you present that? I find that actually to be an interesting problem, where I was thinking that like what you could have is you could have a globe, like, because eventually I want to be able to zoom out. Like if you look at Google Earth, for example, or not Google Earth, but I think Maps does it on Mac. Does it do it on Windows? Where you can zoom out enough more? No. It's really weird that on Mac, I can zoom out to a globe, but on Windows, I cannot. So anyway, if I do this, let's just go to Google, Earth Google Web. Is that the thing? Yeah. Oh no, it's Earth Google Com. That's what I thought it was. So if I'm zoomed in, this kind of, let's see, let's go to my zip code, 20164, right? But, oh, come on. Okay, so I'm zoomed in, and then I zoom out, and it still looks 2D. It still looks 2D, but eventually I will zoom out to a globe. And I would love to have an interface so smooth, like as smooth, right? But anyway, my thought is like, okay, well, you could zoom out, and then eventually you get some type of globe, and then maybe like the part, like as you're moving the globe around, you could have it kind of be blurred out, and then you could maybe click or so. I don't know. Let me see. There was a way to do 3D map views, new 3D globe view. Yeah. So let me see. It's gonna give it a minute. It should be pretty sharp after a minute, shouldn't it? Like the cells. Okay, maybe not. Okay, no, it's going to take a second. Yeah. I'm going to let it sit there and just work. Actually, I'm going to go grab one more soda and some water. I'll be back in a minute. Come on. What are you doing up here? Come here. Go. Come on. Piss me off. Yeah, so it did actually vectorize and come back to life. Let me. Yeah. You ever get a piece of food stuck in your tooth? Or like stuck between your teeth? And then what you have to do, and this is what I do, this is a hack that I do a lot. I will, if I get something stuck and I can't maneuver it out with my tongue, right? Because you sit there and you're like, and you're trying and you're trying and you're trying to get it out. You can't get it out. Like, you can't always work it out. Sometimes it just stays there. Like, and then, so Vincent ZD2D on the mobile stream is saying, do I have a pet? No, I don't have any pets. But, so, what I will do when I have something stuck in my tooth and I can't get it out, I'll bite a fingernail. I bite my fingernails all the time. Love biting my fingernails. Biting my fingernails, it's one of those habits where I figure I'm going to take that habit to the grave. No choice. Let's go into the grave with me. I'm not giving that habit up. I love biting my fingernails. I used to bite my toenails. I loved biting my toenails when I was flexible enough. Now I clip them, but my fingernails, no. So what I'll do often is I will scour my fingernails looking for one just big enough so I can bite it and basically use it as a toothpick. Am I the only one? Surely there's somebody else in the world does that. Somebody else does that. I refuse to believe I am the only person in the world that does that. All right. Nah. Matthew says nah. Nah as in I'm not the only one that does that, or nah as in I am the only one that does that. I do bite my nails if I have a sharp point and no clippers nearby. No, man, I have been living off my nails for years. Like they're basically one of my major food groups. There's like vegetables, meat, dairy, grain, and fingernails. That's how it goes. That's how I live. That's how I live my life. What is this? Somebody sent me something. Hopefully this is not going to... Somebody has sent me something about, it's a little controversial. Let me read this first before if I even bring this onto the clip. I mean, onto the stream. Let me see. Queen is telling us the note was on the door of his shop. This matter raises question. One of them is, how can a mutilated child be a patient at a medical clinic? This is something. Let me ask you, Matthew. This is going to sound like an odd question, but in England, I wish Will Tyler was here because I know he has stupid opinions about this. But in England, are circumcisions common? Like, let's just get right down to it. Let's just ask the question that everybody is wondering. Are you circumcised, Matthew? Are you? Let's just why beat around the bush? Everybody's asking it. Everybody's wondering. So, are you circumcised? Speaking of clippers, are you circumcised? Not that common, I think. Okay, so it's not that common. Yeah. So I unfortunately live in one of the countries where circumcision is not only common, you are seen as a weirdo if you're not circumcised. And you're seen as even more of a weirdo if you are against it. Like, and so I remember when I went to Newfoundland, can't say Newfoundland, but Newfoundland. First time I went to Newfoundland in 2017, 2018. And I hooked up with this very nice, very beautiful young Canadian woman. And we were talking about, she was asking me like what my politics were. And at that time I was like, I don't really feel strongly in the political realm of things. I don't really feel that strong about anything, except recently I have started to feel pretty strongly against circumcision. And so I asked her, I was like, what do you like? I'm like, in your experience with men here in this part of Canada, like, do you find that are most of them circumcised, not circumcised? Like, and she basically said that on the island, that like basically nobody was circumcised. But then she was like, in mainland Canada, it's like a 50-50 split. Just like, you never know what you're going to get. Maybe not. But here in America, but I remember when that was around, I started becoming very vocal, I guess. I wasn't too vocal, but I was very aware or conscious, maybe that's the better word, about male circumcision, and just kind of like, this is something like circumcision in general. And I remember the best way I explained it to this girl in Canada was like, why don't maybe we just shouldn't cut babies. Let's just, how about that? Like, it might sound crazy. Apparently it's crazy to a lot of people. The idea of just not cutting babies, that's really weird. I don't understand it, but maybe we just shouldn't cut babies. Call me crazy. That's where I stand. How about we just not cut babies? And then, obviously there will be exceptions. Like, there's exceptions for anything. Like, because it has happened, it does happen where, like, medically, like, okay, a circumcision would probably alleviate a lot of problems, and in this case, that's probably the right thing to do. Okay, I don't like it, but it does happen, and we should allow for it. And then, of course, if a person, as soon as a boy hits 18, and if he wants to be circumcised, boom, circumcised, done. But if I ever have another kid, which at this point is looking very likely that I won't, but if I ever have another baby, and if it's a boy, then nope, no circumcision. And in the United States, it is weird. Like, there's stories of, like, doctors just circumcising little boys because, oh, well, you didn't say you didn't want it done, so we just assumed you did want it done. And it's like, it is so ingrained in people that it is normal that they and that's why I wish Will Tyler was here, because I promise you Will Tyler is one of those people that is probably like, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with it. Why can't you? What's wrong with circumcision? Oh, you're just some weirdo that doesn't want to cut baby penises. Come on, like, oh, what a weird, yeah. And like, that's the thing. Like, I shouldn't pick on Will Tyler because I really don't know, but there are people like that will consider you the weird one because you don't want to cut a baby's penis. Because you don't want to take a knife and surgically remove some extra skin from the baby's penis, you're the weirdo. Okay. All right. That's how it goes. I wasn't expecting to go on a tangent about male circumcision here, or about circumcision in general, because everybody, and like, you always hear the same thing, like, everybody agrees that female circumcision is wrong. And then you'll get a lot of people that are like women especially. Like, I remember talking to my sister about this years ago, and when she was like, because I remember talking to her because she had a son, and it came up, and she's like, well, you can't even compare male circumcision to female circumcision. I'm like, oh, so even if I grant what you say is true, oh, well, it's not as bad as female circumcision, so therefore it's okay to cut baby penises. It's A-okay. Like, no. Doesn't make any sense. Don't like it. Like I said in Canada all those years ago, why don't we just stop cutting babies? Crazy concept. Just stop cutting babies. I think it was Iceland. Iceland was going to pass legislation. They were going to pass legislation to ban all circumcisions for males and females. And then there was I'll just say that there was a group of people who came out very much against it and were able to basically have that squashed, have that legislation squashed, because there's a certain group of people that have to be allowed to cut penises. The penis cutters. That's what they are. It sounds like the steam fitters, like a local union. The penis cutters. Oh yeah, no, I'm in penis cutters 67 down in the city. Oh yeah, no, I'm at penis cutters 32 up in the country. Oh nice. All right, penis cutters. Yeah, penis cutters unite. Like, that's what it sounds like. Oh God, please don't clip this. Please don't clip it. Okay. So then let's see. So what I wanted to do, we made absolutely no progress. So I'm trying to remember how this works. So I can do vector, layer, add layer. Let's see. Is it a vector tile layer? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to hide this layer. All right, I'm going to do something that I really didn't want to do. All right, I'm going to abandon this plan. I'm abandoning this plan. We're going to work on something else. I can't decide what I want to work on. All right, we're going to work on something else, and this is going to be the last thing. I'm going to dedicate the remaining time that I have on this stream today is going to be dedicated to this task. Okay? All right? I promise you. All right. This is what we're going to do. If it's not medical reason, leave it alone. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Okay. Perfect. Let's see what we got here. What? Alas. Oh, this is PowerShell. So I have to do... I don't know how to do this. Should be like activate PS1. How do I run this? Perfect. Do I have my requirements file in here? No. Actually, before I do anything, I should do this. I should make sure I have the latest code. Git status. Git stash push. Git pull rebase. Git stash pop. All right. Pip install requirement. Oh, no, not readme. Requirements. Goddamn Windows and its non-case sensitivity. Okay, now I'm trying to remember how any of this works. It's been a while since we've looked at the AI stuff, but I think working on the AI stuff is going to be a little more fruitful than working on maps. All right, I'm distracted. I'm distracted by stuff. I can't concentrate on anything. I have ADHD. It's all right. run this even. Converts the intent model to the intent. Okay, exports vocabulary. Python test. What? I do Python test.py and it's trying to open a file off screen. And then this is, I click OK. I select Visual Studio Code, I click OK, and that's what I get. Okay. Did I, like, forget how to run Python scripts? Okay, now I'm really weird. Okay, I don't think it can find the Python executable. Okay. Module named Torch. Okay, I have another idea. Instead of that, I'm going to try this. I'm just going to go to Ubuntu. All right, so, All right, Python test.py. So that's what I get for trying to run Python in Windows. Let's see if this works. It's taking its sweet old time. I do remember it taking a while. I don't quite remember it taking this long. Hello? So make sure it's not... Let's look at test.py. So it's going to... Well, true. Okay. So I assume it's loading this object here, right? Example. Let's actually put some, I was going to surround it. Oh, wait, can I? I was going to say, can I do step through, but I don't know if I can do step through. Install extension for Python. Let's see. Debugging. Okay, it's stopping somewhere else along the way. Okay, there's something I'm missing. It makes me think there's something obvious that's going on. There's something very obvious going on. I just don't know what. Hello World in Python. With the AI. All right, fine. Hello World.py. Python hello world.py. Okay, that works. So Python's working. So it's as though one of these, something in the beginning is like starting intent recognition test interface. Imports complete. Let's see if it does that. Oh. Okay. So it's locking up on the imports, and I don't know why. One of the things I'm going to try. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted to try. I'm going to recreate the virtual environment. Or actually, I don't need to recreate it. I just need to. You know, who do you think St. Abilene was or is? Any thoughts on that, Matthew? I'm going to leave that up to Matthew. Is going to create the story of the actual St. Abilene. That is Matthew's responsibility. Matthew is now responsible for the lore behind the saint known as Abilene. Okay. Okay, what I wanted to do is I want to come in here, and then I need to remember how to do this. So I want to use Python 3.11. I think it's -mvnv and then the folder. So I'm just going to call it VE2. I think that's how you do it. All right, so we have created that, so let's see if we can activate it. Okay. Now, with that activated, now I can install everything in requirements. Let's see how long that's going to take. Years after founding the town, he died on a hidden trap left by natives. Some say it was karma. So let me talk a little bit about the island, and you can work this into your lore. All right. So one of the things I want to add to St. Abilene is like it's a survival horror, but then there's also I don't want to say supernatural, but you know how like I implemented stuff that like when you look at a picture, like the people are reading their books, and then when you look away and you look back at the picture, they're looking at you, and then you look away and you look back, and now they're reading their books again. Okay, so that when I say supernatural, I'm talking about that kind of thing. Now, so what? I remember having this long conversation with ChatGPT about, okay, because I hate supernatural shit. I hate magic, right? So I was asking ChatGPT, how could you have something? So if you think about the world that this is taking place, where they have a technology of like the we're like the 1980s, 1990s, all right? However, there is a big event, which it's called the Drift, and there's a whole thing about that, which took place roughly 400 years before the story, okay? And the reason that this is relevant is that the way that I've kind of pictured in my mind, or that I've constructed it, is that the technological progression that took us on Earth 200 years to do has taken them 400 years. And so the reason how am I compartmentalizing all that stuff? So there's this big event that happens 400 years before the story takes place, this big event. And at the time of that, we had technology roughly at around, their technology was like the equivalent of like 1800s of our technology. And now the story takes place 400 years later, and their technology has progressed to like 1980, 1990s technology. So it's progressing a little slower. So how this relates to the eyes looking at you, the eyes looking away, is I had this long conversation with ChatGPT, because I wanted to know what kind of elements could I put in the game that appear supernatural but are grounded in reality, and only appear supernatural because they don't have the scientific explanation for it. So, and humans have done this all throughout history, right? Like where we don't have a scientific explanation for XYZ phenomenon, so we attribute it to ghosts or God or angels or mermaid, like whatever the fact, right? We attribute it to these things, and then we learn, oh no, actually this is because of blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, St. Aveline is in one of the polar extremes of the planet, but not quite a polar extreme, but in terms of where most people on this planet live, St. Aveline is one of the polar extremes. And in the polar extremes, here, like on Earth, in the polar extremes, you have like aurora, right? Like aurora borealis. So think of that as an example. Like, what did the native people think, like 1,000 years ago? There were Inuit people living in these cold places, and they saw these aurora borealis, and I'm sure they attributed to like the gods are angry or the gods are pleased, or I'm sure it had something to do with the gods or the spirits or the ghosts or whatever. So St. Aveline, existing at some polar extreme on the planet, encounters phenomena like RF. I want to say contamination, but that's not it. But okay, like an example would be radio signals, right? Because of all of the what the hell is the word I'm looking? Disturbance, I guess that's not the right word. It's not the word I'm exactly looking for. But it's basically getting all kinds, like it's getting actual disturbances that are grounded in reality. But if you're talking to somebody on radio, then it might happen such that this disturbance, like some solar activity, some solar flare activity, whatever the case may be, may allow your frequency that you're talking to your friend on to kind of like have audio from another frequency bleed into yours. So now you hear distorted voices, but you might not necessarily know it's distorted voices. You might think it's like the spirits talking to you or the guy. So anyway, so what I'm getting at is like those kind of things. I want those kind of things to be a part of the story that's happening on this little island, where they have these supernatural, and I'm using air quotes, these supernatural anomalies, but they're actually grounded in reality. So all right, I'm just going to, why this is doing, I'm going to talk a little bit about the event that happened. So now that Matthew is a lore author on the game, he was responsible for writing lore. And Matthew, feel free to clone the Yonora wiki page and add to it. And then, submit a pull request and go through the whole thing. But so the event that happened 400 years, basically that kind of stunts the technology of this planet is, wait, do I have it? Do I have this? I might have this. Anyway, so this planet Yonora is revolving around its sun. I mean, this is very Earth-like. The sun's about the same size as our sun, and then the planets. But then there is this object that comes into their solar system, and it doesn't disturb the orbit of the planet itself. It's not pulling the planet, but it starts to pull the star. And now that the star that it's revolving around is pulled, every other planet is pulled along with it. And so that is why the planet is now getting a more and more eccentric, or a larger and larger elliptical orbit, because the star is being pulled and the planet's being pulled with it. And so that's why they stopped measuring time in terms of years. They started measuring time in terms of just the number of days. I wanted to look up Universe Sandbox. I haven't played this in a long game. This is actually a pretty cool game. But so if we go back to... Oh, Not Sure is in the house. Look who decided to stop by. Well. Look who it is, Mr. Not Sure. I reviewed the video that made me upset. I might have overreacted. I don't even know what you're talking about. But are you talking about like when you and I had our fight? It's all right. I forgive you. Look. We all get emotional. I know we're men, and men are supposed to, what men do best is we bottle up our emotions and we bury them deep inside so that they don't affect us at all, except in subtle ways that come across as anger. That's what men do, and that's how we work, because we're men. That's how real men operate. Sometimes we can get emotional. I get it. We can get emotional. Sometimes things can hurt our feelings. It's fine. Even if the thing that hurt your feelings wasn't intended to hurt your feeling, and even if it wasn't even that big of a deal, it still happens. We're all susceptible to emotions. I get it. I don't take it personally. But that's why I hope that you guys don't take anything I say personally, because it's not intended personally. I don't know. I'm just blabbing. Okay, let me read this. Okay, so what I was getting at is if we look here. All right, whoop. So Not Sure, I don't know if you were here when I was talking. Oh my gosh, why isn't it loading? I don't know if you were here when I was talking about so here is our known world, right? On which the and again, I'm building a whole world for this tiny little game that still basically doesn't even have animation. That's fine. Anyway, and of course, St. Aveline is way up here. Way little old St. Aveline's right up here. Look at little old St. Aveline. Yeah, this is all blurry. This isn't going to be like QGIS where everything gets sharper and sharper. But so anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. So you have this entire world. So Matthew, as the lore creator, now mind you, there is a fair amount of lore. So if you submit a pull request and the lore that you have created contradicts the existing core, I will reject the pull request, but I will leave comments and I will review it like an actual pull request. So here is the I'll put this in the chat room. I know you know how to find it, but I'll just go ahead and put it in the chat room anyway. Placenta Roblox says hello, Placenta Roblox. Okay, so if you don't want to read all of the junk that me and AI have written, this initial page is a good summary. Or you don't even need to go to, well, you need to go to that if you want to submit a pull request, but you can of course go to unora.world because I am an expert programmer. I'm a master programmer, right? Like the data on here is the exact same data on here. So let me just, I guess, little things that let me see. So yeah, St. Aveline is part of. So okay, this actually is part of the story that we've talked about. So St. Aveline, the little island. Okay. Here's the story. Here's part of it. St. Aveline is technically under the jurisdiction of this country here called Devesa. That's the actually. Let me go back here. It's going to help if I actually turn these on. Okay. And then I guess we don't need the globe view. So St. Aveline right there is part of this country, Devesa. Now, Devesa, here is this. I'm all over the place. I know I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. Devesa is a country at war. They're at war with themselves. And this is where we were talking about of like having like troops that kind of come to St. Aveline and kind of occupy it. And that's kind of what's happened is like you have basically government troops have got like, because there's a faction there's basically a civil war going on, but it's more of an insurgency that's fighting against the fascist dictator of a government. And so the government basically sends troops to to St. Aveline basically to reassert its dominance. St. Aveline kind of has some religious significance to like Devesa and like this area over here on the left, but mostly it's just the government sending troops to St. Aveline to reassert. So, but let me talk a little bit about like just kind of everything. So this ocean right here. So part of the story, a lot of what the story relies on a big part that naval navigation is very difficult because of what I talked about with that object coming in and throwing the orbit of the planet out of whack. So what happened, and then also it has two satellites, one very small one and one about the size of our moon. But because those satellites also got thrown out of whack, now it's nearly impossible to detect tides. And so you have swells and seas get very rough very fast. So you can see here these dotted lines. The only connector between the left side and the right side is this short gap here up at the top. And that even that requires a stopover in this place called Sabletown, which is the direct connector to St. Aveline. I know that none of you care about this, but I'm proud of the little story I've built, so I'm going to talk about it. So Devesa and this country, Velu, and basically everything on the right side of the world and everything on the left side of the world, the only way that they can actually, the only way that they can trade or travel back and forth is between this connector up here at the top. And so that creates somewhat of a choke point, but it's mostly a choke point for Devesa because Velu is a very prosperous and a very, like, they have a lot of farmland. That's kind of what I always think of. Like, all the food comes from Velu. Now, Devesa's kind of in a shitty situation because there's a lot of rocks, so they don't have there's not a lot of place to actually grow food. So they get it from one of two places. They get it from Velu, which I already talked about, and that has to be traversed by this upper region up here. That's how it's traversed up there. Or they can get the food from this place, Ranabetu, which I want to change the name. I'm not very happy with that name, but I can't think of a better name. Now, here's the story here. So Devesa and this country, Ranabetu, they used to have a lot of trade, and they would just sail back and forth because, well, they can sail back and forth. But then after the drift, which was that event where the basically everything's going adrift, the swells of this ocean, of this sea, are so big that the boats can't traverse it. They can't, like, the boats will get lost at sea. And so they have to go through this little land bridge, which is a country called Thornbelt. Again, very proud of that name. But Thornbelt, of course, will use that to their advantage because it's like, oh, you want food and you need to come through our country? Well, we're going to charge you up the ass. And so there's been wars and shit. And so anyway, so that's how Devesa is kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place, kind of like literally, because they can get trade on the right, but they got to go through this ocean. And also Velu is very strict. They actually have like you see, look at all these little ports. It's called Gate Thorn, Gate this, Gate that, Gate this. It's because they're very strict about not letting, basically like, no, we don't want immigrants in our country. No boats are coming in our country. And then so Devesa's stuck trading with them or with the countries over here, but they got to go through Thornbelt. So that's the story. Like, so do what you want with the lore there. But so what I said, not sure, is that it's up to Matthew. It's up to Matthew to decide why Saint Aveline was granted sainthood and why there's an island named after Saint Aveline. There is a story what I thought was kind of a clever little story that I thought was fun. That I think is fun, and that's about this island down here, or this set of islands called the Barrel Islands, and then there's this nation over here called Barrel. And before the drift, before the oceans were still very difficult to navigate, but it was possible. And it was specifically possible to go from the right-hand side to the left-hand side or left-hand side to the right-hand side by making a stopover down here in the Barrel Islands. And so this is all before the drift. Before the drift, you could sail back and forth by making a stopover. It was fine. It was happy. Everybody loved it. But here, I like this little story that I kind of came up with. So after the drift, what happened was now the swell, if the oceans were bad before the drift, they're much worse after the drift. So now basically sailing from the right-hand side to the left-hand side or vice versa is nay impossible. It's nearly impossible. It's not nearly impossible. It is impossible because ships have tried and ships always fail. The result of that, though, is that these islands, everybody in the known world knows about these islands because these islands used to be a part of society. They used to be there. They used to be, people would go back and forth. They would commute. They would commute from the east to the west, and they would commute back and forth to the Barrel Islands. But then after the drift, these islands are cut off. And mind you, the drift happened when they were like at the equivalent of our 1800s technology. So there's no cable connection, right? There's no I can't remember basic words. Oh my fucking god, I'm losing my mind. The Morse code, the telegraph, right? There's no telegraph wires or anything like that. So they know the islands are there. They know people live there, but there's no way to communicate with them. There's no way to get to them. And so one of the things that, if you look on the wiki for Barrel, there is a I forget what I named it, but every year on the same day, they send a ship from this town called Sashai. A ship when they'll put livestock on it. They put gifts and flowers and vegetables and then people at this point in the story, all of the people who were around during the drift are dead now, but relatives will put letters on this ship, and basically a ship sets sail to go to the islands. And it's a very ceremonial thing because people pretty much assume that, well, whoever's on that ship trying to get to this island, they're going to die. They're going to be lost at sea. But they do it every year, and there's volunteers that do it. And I don't know. I like that idea of I really like the idea of the descendants writing letters to their descendants on the islands, and in hopes of one day maybe a ship will get through. And for all they know, the ships are actually able to make it there. They're just never able to make it back. So I don't know. I like that story. So that's the story of the Barrel Islands. And then the last thing I'll talk about in terms of lore of this world, to kind of give you an idea, because Matthew he's a writer on this. So Matthew he's tasked with writing some lore. So if you look, so Velu, but if you look, there's this country Redlestone, and actually, I fleshed this story out more when I was on the actually on the plane coming back. Wait, what? And so there is a story. So again, the drift. It wasn't a singular event. It was like this thing comes into the sky and they notice it over the matter of months, and then it comes and then it kind of leaves, and then they start noticing that their seasons are changing. That like basically it fucked up their orbits essentially. But anyway, but before that, people had been trying to explore the planet, right? Like they knew about this known world here, and people had been trying to explore the planet. So in the modern day, there is a story of this guy. I forget what I named him. At first, I named him something stupid, and then I renamed him, and he's named something stupid again. But basically, what the story is that he claimed to sail all the way over here and back. And so when he came back, he had like these exotic plants that people had never seen before, and like these herbs or whatever. And I'll talk about, there's a spice that he had, like the Dune spice. But he also had people. There were people who didn't look like the people of the world, and they spoke a weird language, and they dressed in a weird way. And these people were claimed to have been from this other land over here that nobody had ever been to. And then of course the drift happens, and now trying to navigate this ocean is impossible. If you try, it's basically a death wish. So those people were there. They're here. They're here in the known world. Now, that's what happened before the drift, shortly before the drift. Then the drift happens, and now nobody's going over there anymore. Well, so these people, this is what I just came up with this on the plane ride back from Senegal, like last week. So the people, when they come back, that portion I had already had for months now that they come back. Well, when they came back, one of the things they had was a spice. I forget what I named it. I think I called it nashi or something. Well, anyway, it's this. I in my mind, I picture it as like some like chocolate coffee hybrid, where the people of the known world, they had never experienced anything like it. Imagine like going your entire life without ever tasting chocolate or having experienced caffeine, and then now suddenly you have this one thing, and you're like, oh my god, this tastes amazing. The way it makes me feel is amazing. This is amazing, right? So the people, when they come back from this other world, they have it on them, and so they're able to grow it, and they kind of teach the people of this world how to cultivate it, how to grow it, and how to produce it. However, the people of this other world, they're very guarded of it, right? Like they only do it in pots. Like they'll take the soil, they'll put it into the pots, and then they'll wait for the plant to grow and for the bean to sprout or whatever the fuck it is, and then they do whatever they need to do, and then they're able to make it. But it's always in pots. It's on pots. And mind you, there is no the language is difficult because the people of this other world, they speak some language that nobody is familiar with. Well, what happens is some of the locals of Velu or whatever, and this is before the borders are really established, but some of the locals, they essentially steal it. They steal some of the herbs. They steal the seeds, I guess you could say. They steal the seeds, and then they start planting it. They start planting it just in the ground, and this story is still a little sketchy. Like I still have to work, like there's still details to be worked out. But basically the idea is, so they take the seeds, they plant them in the ground, and this thing is like a weed on steroids. It starts spreading, and it starts overtaking crops, decimating the vegetables and like the food for the cows or whatever. It basically just starts taking over all of the all the farmland. And so the natives, and you kind of learn that that's why the natives were always growing things in pots. And so the natives, they start burning areas because they're trying to get it to stop from spreading, and the people think that the natives are trying to destroy the farmland, and so it's this whole thing. What details they still haven't worked out, but what Redlestone is there. So what I was thinking was the way the story would go is that there's this particular stone, Redlestone, and the natives find it because maybe it existed plentiful where they're from, but here they find it, and you come to realize that the pots are made of Redlestone. But the natives, what they can do is they can take the Redlestone. Again, this is all like, if you have better ideas, let me know. But they take the Redlestone and they can grind it basically into a powder, and then they can use that to kind of like sprinkle on the crops to kill the crops. It's pretty much the only thing they know of that will actually kill the invasive version of this. I think I called it Nashi, Nashi, Nashi. But basically, so the Redlestone, because of that reason, because the Redlestone can kind of contain this Nashi, it's kind of like guarded and kind of coveted. And then the people from this land, they find Redlestone. And if you look at a height map, that blue area is mountains. I clicked it. Yeah. So there's like some mountains there. So in the mountains is where they find Redlestone, and they're able to actually take the Redlestone and kind of create, I don't know, fences, I guess, or walls to basically contain the Nashi. And then that's kind of how they start growing their nation, I guess. Like they have farmland that's actually bordered out by Redlestone, and this is all, I'm just making it up as we go along, literally. We need a documentary about this planet. So anyway, so I like world building. I find it fun, and I like world building with like shit like that, like I like the idea of this particular stone being able to contain this particular plant that is otherwise very invasive and actually very dangerous because it can destroy all your farmland. And just these people from the other world, they brought the invasive species, but they also knew how to contain it. And so then you have the gullible people of Velu who think that they know better. And obviously, you know, what do these heathens from this other world know? And then so that's another. And then there's another story. I'm going to talk one more story, and then I'm probably going to wrap up for a couple of hours. I'll probably be back later on today. So if we come over here, there are these 3 countries. I forget exactly what they're named. They're like, okay. So first there's Bibi Sharif, which I've always pictured as like I've always pictured as like Saudi Arabia or something, like some like Arab kind of nation, or yeah, some Arab kind of nation. Hence why I named it like Zion Al Kamar and Kassar Marcel. So there's these 3 nations, these here. Obataku, Intataku, and Tutaku. I probably should rename them because I was watching some videos about like how to do good world building, and one of the things it said is like, when you're naming things, make sure you can pronounce them. Because I guess that's a common thing that people do, is they try to come up with exotic names, just means names you can't pronounce. So I'm like, all right, that's fair. Anyway, so as the story goes, long before the drift, because in this world, like think about it like in Earth terms, like if some celestial body came through Earth's solar system, came through our solar system and started dragging our sun, therefore disrupting our entire cycle and making the seasons. Oh, but the other thing is so it makes the seasons more elliptical, and scientists are debating that they know that the eccentricity of the elliptical orbit is growing, but they can't decide whether that means the planet's going to be flung out into space or whether it's going to be flung. It's going to fall into the star. They just know that one of them is likely to happen. So because of that, like time, like we have BC and AD, right? Like before Jesus Christ, you know, whatever. And other cultures have similar markers. So that this drift event is one of those markers for this planet. Like there's the time before the drift and the time since the drift. Not sure says one of the reasons I don't need fantasies because of all of the fake sounding names. Yeah, that's what. Oh, read fantasy. Yeah, so this is all open source. So if there are names that you think are stupid and I welcome, and I mean this sincerely, I welcome feedback. I welcome pull requests, not just on code. I welcome those, of course, but even on this story and this timeline, there are general things that like I would like to follow. Like I don't want to change the drift and things like that, but I welcome all input, please. Anyway, so in the time before the drift, you could this land here, the Bibi Sharif, and like it's kind of like undefined, like exactly where the borders and everything. And actually, I kind of am thinking about getting rid of the borders in general, but whatever. We'll just stick with it for now. So you had this King Sharif. I gave him a first name. I forget what it was. It wasn't Bibi. And so this is the part of the story of this story that I find weak, and I'm open to alternatives. But let me tell the story, and then I'll talk about what I find weak and why I find it weak. So, in this kingdom, at the time, in order to inherit the throne, the child that inherits the throne is the youngest at the time that the throne is vacated. The thought being that would give the longest run, the most consistency of kingship, of rule, right? Because like think about like England, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Queen Elizabeth died and her son was like already like in his 70s, like so he's got like so the idea being that the youngest direct descendant would be the one who rules. And so that's how it worked in the kingdom of Sharif or whatever you would like, and that's how it worked for a long time. And King Sharif had these these three daughters. I'm trying to load it up. Yeah, the three sisters. So this is all there. But he had these three daughters, and they were pretty much like, it was assumed that the youngest one was going to be the ruler. Actually, now that I'm talking, I should make them triplets. Like they should be triplets. That actually gives this story a little more weight. But anyway, so he has these three daughters, and it was assumed that like, okay, well, dad's getting old. So he's going to, and when he dies, then so-and-so, I don't know which one, it's not specified, but so-and-so is going to be queen. And it's going to be great because all three of us, we're sisters and we've made a pact and we're all going to be great and we're going to rule and it's going to be the best time ever. Woo! Right? And then what happens is the king at the last fucking minute, he has another baby, and it's a boy. It's a boy named Bibi. And so what happens, the sisters, they at this time they're like in their 20s, and they've assumed that like, well, the young, wait, what are you talking about? Like this is our kingdom, bitch. And so the sisters, they conspire and they kill the baby. They kill the boy. I picture it as like he's maybe like 4 or 5 years old when they kill him. So they kill him. The king finds out. And so the king, he banishes them to lands in the south, and those are these lands. And so each one, you can see these three cities here. These are the capitals of each nation. And so these three nations, they're collectively called the Three Sisters, and they were formed because the king banished them to these southern lands, and the baby was named Bibi. The little boy that was killed was named Bibi, and so the king, as like a sign of a memorial to his dead son, he renames his kingdom Bibi Sharif. And then the sisters are banished to this land down here, and then over time, like they each have their own land, and then over time that land kind of they turn into individual nations. But you could kind of think of them as like, I'm trying to think of any examples, but I can't think of any good examples, but like three independent nations, but very tied together, like culturally, by language, like maybe they share free trade together, stuff like that. But also you could have it so, like it's debated like which sister actually killed the little boy, And then something that AI suggested, which I thought was a good idea, is that maybe it could also be speculated that maybe the boy didn't even die. Instead, maybe he was kidnapped and sent to like Levelberry or something like that, one of the lands over here. So maybe the boy actually never died, and now. So anyway, but hundreds of years later, these places have become nations, and like there's been a little bit of resentment between those nations and Bibi Sharif because of that incident. So anyway, the part there that sounds weak that I said I wouldn't mind revisiting is the fact that the youngest child inherits the throne. I don't know if you guys think that's a weak point, or if that sounds a little weak. But I like the idea. Well, I don't like the idea. I like the story of like the sisters conspiring together to kill the heir. I guess you could just have it as he was the youngest boy, and the sisters conspire to kill the young boy. Yeah, I guess there's no reason in doing that. I do think it's a little more tragic that it's a little boy, but yeah. Anyway, but I like that. I like that story because I had come up with, so being on a plane, I love just kind of brainstorming on a plane because nowadays you can buy internet, but I rarely do. I rarely purchase internet, the internet packages on airplanes. I kind of like being secluded. I kind of like being separated from the rest of society. And I'll just sit there and I'll just brainstorm. Like I'll just write shit out. It's just like stream of consciousness. And then these stories just I like writing stories like that. That's how I came up with the three. Like before I even had the stories of the three sisters, I knew I had already said, okay, these three nations, they're going to be called the Three Sisters. I'll figure out why later. And then I figured out why. And I like that story. I think it's a good story. And then it was a similar thing with Redlestone, where it's like, okay, I know Redlestone will be comprised of people from the other world, but why are they there? How did they get there? And I was like, I'll figure that out later, and I figured it out. So there's lots like this little area here. Like this is a disputed territory, and this is the town of Rolanganta, which again is probably you know what, we're gonna come up with a better name for that right now. Let's see, Tools, Bergs, Rolanganta. Okay. What do you guys come up? Give me a good name for that. Give me it's a town of 80,000. I think that's too big. I'm gonna go with 8,000, which would then change the classification. So at 8,000, it's not a city. It would be a town. All right. So it's gonna be a town. But I need a better name. Can you guys give me a name? How about Matthewville? Not Shoreship. Not Shoreship. I'm not hearing any names. I'm not seeing any name suggestions. Nobody's giving me any name suggestions. So sounds fine. So you think the story of so you think that the youngest child inheriting the throne sounds fine. I guess it does. I mean, I don't think it sounds weak. I mean, I think that the idea that like the reason they do this is for consistency, because then you have the longest ruler. Valeria from Conan the Barbarian. No. Veer. I kind of like Veer. Let's see what it looks like. Why isn't it updating? I don't know why it's not updating here. Let me see something. Let me try this. Wait. Let me try this. That's weird. Let me save the map and then reload the map. That's weird. Oh my gosh. I updated it, but it didn't. Markers, provinces, rivers. I'll get rid of those. It saves it here. What in the world is going on? What am I doing wrong? This makes me think I'm doing something wrong. I am positive that I have updated these. Okay, there it goes. Now it's changing. There it goes. Okay, there we go. Okay. Ver. I like Ver. My landlady is called Valeria. Valeria. I kind of like Ver. V-I-R. Vale isn't bad, but I like Ver. I don't know what Ver is. Is that like your middle name or something? What is your middle name, Matthew? And actually, what is your first name? Not sure. And don't you dare fucking say not. Don't you dare say not. All right, let me see. Thomas. Matthew Thomas Vale. Okay, I like it. I like it. Ver is a play on Vale. Okay, all right. I still want to know Not Sure's first name. Not sure. What is your first name? I know everything about Not Sure. Do you know his first name? Sir. I don't buy that. I don't like it. All right, let me see. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to pop this in. All right, rename Nora. And then I'll, let me see. Get comment updating the name of Ver. Matthew's disputed territory. All right. So get push. Yeah, so that's your disputed territory, Matthew. Dedicated to you. Sorry, signed an NDA. No, seriously though, I'm waiting for Matthew. I'm going to wait for Matthew to work on whatever it is I told him to work on, whatever he's supposed to work on. Oh, St. Aveline, that's right. You need to come up with, you know what? It'd be great if whoever St. Aveline was, if St. Aveline was somehow related to the disputed territory of Ver, and then the sequel. Well, no, not the sequel, because the sequel is Space Nomads. And then the sequel to that is the beach volleyball game. But then the sequel to that takes place in Ver. So, we'll figure that out. Make it a task, assign it to me. Otherwise, I'll get distracted and forget. Okay, let's see. I would go in the wiki. Issues. New issue. Develop backstory Story for the person known as Saint Adeline. Matthew Vale, create a backstory for this person. Make sure to explain why the island is named after him. Relate it to the disputed territory of Ver. Let's see. What else? Okay, related to. Make sure the backstory has a supernatural element to it, but supernatural in the way we discussed, where it's grounded in reality. All right, what else? I need to figure out how to make video games. I signed up for a game jam. Did you really? Do they have group game jams? Like, it would be cool if like the three of us could sign up for a game jam. I'd be up for that. Okay, let's just leave this at that. Okay, I'm going to assign this to Mr. Matthew Vale. I am going to label this as a new label task. All right, I'll come back to that in a minute. Type task. Yep, but you doing this one solo, aren't you not sure? I know I would be the weak link, so I'm doing it to myself to learn. They allow group and solo, most do anyway. All right, boys, I think this was a I think the only thing we accomplished on this stream was renaming this town and then assigning Matthew something to do. At this rate, this game is going to be done. Ooh, boy, it's going to be a while. All right, boys. I'll probably be back later. I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna take a shower. I want to head to Home Depot. I think I'm gonna buy a lawnmower today, and then yeah, see what else is going on. Forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, I might be back later. I might stream later on. So if not, I'll probably stream tomorrow. But if not, I'll definitely be back on Monday. All right, fellas. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Love you. Bye.